Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Michael Archimon. He's the Chief Strategy Officer at OPSWAT. Michael, good to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
And OPSWAT is written in all capital letters, so you should at least begin by telling us what it stands for.
Well, OPSWAT stands for the Operational SWAT Team. I know that because I've worked with OPSWAT even prior to being employed by them, and we were a technical partner of theirs for many, many years.
Okay, good. Well, let's get to the real topic of the day, and that's network detection and response. That's pretty critical in 2026 for cybersecurity. Tell us what it is and why it matters so much.
Yeah, so an NDR platform is critical because it provides real-time visibility of network traffic across complex hybrid environments, whether they're on-prem, in the cloud, IT or OT. By passively monitoring and analyzing network traffic, NDR platforms can detect breaches, emerging threats, zero-day exploits, and sophisticated TTPs leveraged by state-sponsored threat actors prior to them reaching your endpoints. In addition to that, NDR platforms integrate with a number of different solutions you probably already have within your environment. Things like EDR platforms, SIEM solutions, SOAR solutions, firewalls. NDR platforms enrich them by providing network layer context to improve detection, correlation, and response. Finally, NDR helps achieve compliance with federal requirements and mandates by providing auditable evidence of continuous monitoring, anomaly detection, and rapid threat identification.
So you mentioned NDR platform, so that's not exactly it's a product, but it sounds like an integrative way of using products that the organization might have in place already.
Absolutely. So we look to integrate and also orchestrate with products already existing within the environment. Actually, we can make them better by having the NDR as part of their overall cybersecurity, arsenal of tools.
And with just, the number and velocity of attacks that are coming, it's a stream of attacks, really. It's a continuous situation. It's not every so often somebody wakes up and sees an attack nowadays. So detection and response is something that has to be highly automated for the most part, with people managing by exception. Is that a fair way to say how this platform might serve?
Yeah, so I've been doing this for a very long time. Just over 25 years, I've been a cybersecurity practitioner. I ran the Pentagon's Computer Incident Response Team, and as part of that, our mission was to run the Security Operations Center. And going back historically, a lot of the tasks that we were performing as analysts were manual, right? Involved a lot of heavy lifting. But fast forward to today and how modern the platforms are, such as the NDR platform, we've automated a lot of the manual tasks we were performing as analysts to make our lives a lot easier, considering the challenges that we have in identifying threats targeting our customer base.
Yeah, and really not just making your lives doable, but making you livable because of the volume and velocity of attacks nowadays.
Correct. Yeah, the volume can contribute to alert fatigue, and that makes our lives very unhappy.
Okay, and you mentioned this early, but I want to touch on the idea of the complexity of the average federal environment, because they still have data centers, and they probably still have server rooms for that. They're not supposed to, but they do, and then multiple clouds. So it's a complex environment. How does an NDR help maintain that visibility when you don't own most of where your assets are?
Yeah, so our NDR platform and NDR platforms in general support a variety of deployment options. Whether it's on-prem, in the cloud, IT or OT, we support it. Whether it's inspecting data in use, data at rest, or data in motion, we support it as well. So our NDR platform provides our customers with a single pane of glass to visualize, monitor, analyze, and escalate incidents as they occur with accuracy, speed, and precision across their environment.
So it can deploy in clouds, in commercial clouds.
Absolutely.
And see what's going on with the assets that the agency itself has hosted in that cloud?
Correct.
Okay. And what are some of the issues for operators I guess I'm trying to get at, how do you get it set up such that it's covering all of the assets that you have when you do have multiple clouds? Because agencies say over and over again, we have to make sure we understand what we have here and there.
Yeah, so some of the challenges that agencies tend to run into, and really it depends on the agency's environment, the technical expertise that they possess, as well as their budget and what constraints they have around that, right? Typically we see technical challenges that agencies run into are related to network protocol support, network throughput support, the location, as you mentioned, visibility of encrypted traffic or lack thereof, alert fatigue, which we talked a little bit about, false positives and false negatives. Now, a lot of these challenges can be identified during the POC process when they're evaluating the NDR platform.
POC.
Yes, a proof of concept. So usually when an evaluation occurs of an NDR or any technical platform, there's a proof of concept period where you're evaluating a number of different those technologies to see which works best in your environment. So in these cases with the challenges I mentioned, a lot of those challenges could be identified and ultimately avoided if the agency or organization selects the NDR platform that's right for their environment.
Got it. So the proof of concept is kind of a discovery process almost of what you have, as well as discovering if that product is the right one for what you do have.
It's key. So the best way to evaluate an NDR platform is conducting a proof of concept. And there's a number of things that go into a POC. You know, first, clearly defining your technical and functional requirements, establishing your success criteria, doing your market research, and then selecting 3 or 4 different NDR platforms to evaluate, both in your lab environment as well as your production environment. And there's a number of metrics that you use as part of that POC process. I'll highlight a few. Things like the mean time to detect incidents, the mean time to respond to incidents, the dwell time reduction, alert fatigue, false positive rate, false negative rate, integration, effectiveness, compliance readiness, scalability and performance. I could go on and on. There's a number of them. But regardless of whichever metrics you choose to use as part of the POC, I would measure those prior to deploying the NDR, and then again after deploying the NDR, just so you're capturing and quantifying the value of the NDR and what it brings to your environment. I would focus on the dwell time reduction as well as the alert fidelity, because those are probably the metrics that matter the most.
Yeah, good advice there, actually. And you mentioned earlier, too, that there's a compliance part of this, which a good NDR platform can help the agency achieve. I'm thinking of zero trust. AI now has become kind of a policy issue as much as a technical issue. So how does a good NDR make sure that those compliance priorities are met?
Yeah, well, in terms of advancing AI, our platform specifically advances AI, and AI as it is employed for cyber defense by leveraging machine learning based anomaly detection, as well as high fidelity threat intelligence integration to identify sophisticated threats in real time. So that's one of the key things that we focus on implementing and providing as part of our platform.
And what about zero trust?
Yeah, zero trust is key. If you're familiar with zero trust or have implemented the zero trust maturity model, there's a number of things there that you're aware of. The top of mind for me is breach detection. If you've implemented zero trust, then you assume a breach has already occurred or could occur at any time. Breach detection is a key component of our platform.
Yeah, because you mentioned too that operational technology assets as well as information technology, OT, IT idea, you need to make zero trust extend to the operational technology nowadays as much as to the standard business systems operating your agency.
That's
fair
correct.
To say?
Yes, fair to say. So we deploy in all of those environments, IT and OT included.
And you mentioned the idea of, like the roofing companies, get 4 estimates, but make sure one of them is us. So in an agency that is evaluating an NDR platform, what are the criteria and how do you differentiate yourself, OPSWAT, from what's out there?
In regards to OPSWAT's NDR platform, there are a number of ways that we differ from the competition. First and foremost is the analysis that we perform and provide. Not only do we capture and inspect network traffic at speeds ranging from 10 megabit to 100 gigabit, we also extract the files from those network connections and analyze those as well. As part of that analysis, we leverage deep packet inspection, deep session inspection, and deep file inspection, which we've actually patented. So there's a lot of things that we do different there just when it comes to analytics. In addition to that, we also provide our customers with the ability to retrospectively analyze not only the network data that they've captured, but also the files with what we call retro hunting. Retro hunting is the ability to retrospectively analyze network traffic as well as the files that traversed over that traffic with the latest intelligence that we have. In addition to that, another differentiator for us is breach detection. As we mentioned before, it's a key pillar within zero trust maturity model. You assume a breach has already occurred, so a main component of our platform is breach detection. And then last but not least, a key differentiator for us is intelligence. Intelligence empowers our platform. We have a dedicated intelligence team that is mainly focused on tracking threat actor activity. And through their research, as well as information that we collect from various strategic third-party partnerships that we've established with intelligence providers, we're able to deliver high-fidelity, actionable intelligence to our customers.
All right, and that idea of threat detection, threat actors, and looking at the world, it almost parallels what the Pentagon does for kinetic threats. You have to kind of have a heat map of what's going on around the globe, sounds like.
Yeah, so my time at the Pentagon was one of the best experiences of my life. I spent 15 years running the Pentagon's computer incident response team, and that team's mission really is to provide 24/7 monitoring, analysis, escalation, and response to incidents as they occur across the Pentagon's network infrastructure. And when you talk about the Pentagon, it's not only the building, it's over 60 site locations throughout the national capital region. We're monitoring multiple classifications of networks. And in addition to that, we not only performed the monitoring and response operations, but we owned the infrastructure. So everything from the network backbone to the wall plate, we owned in terms of network detection and response platforms, firewalls, so on and so forth. So it was really a great experience for me, and it's really prepared me for my career as it's progressed.
And the wall plate brings a question to mind, that idea, a good way to express it. There's the insider threat that organizations have. It could be a mistaken insider threat or malicious insider threat. Does the NDR platform extend nowadays past the wall plate to what might be going on in user activity?
Yeah, so while it's only visibility that an NDR platform has is at the network layer, it does integrate with endpoint detection and response platforms that have visibility of the endpoints, whether they're workstations or servers. So given that integration, that's how we gain visibility at the endpoint with the NDR platform.
Got it.
Now that being said, we still monitor and analyze and identify insider threats at the network layer with a variety of analytical techniques that we perform with the platform.
Right, because user activity, if it's malicious, then that's where you'd see it, is at the network layer.
Yeah, it's difficult.
If they're smart.
It's very difficult, and when you're dealing with state-sponsored, sophisticated threat actors, it's a needle within needles. But given the sophistication of our platform and a lot of the machine learning-based anomaly detection that we perform, we're able to identify those threats even across encrypted channels.
So the single pane of glass that you mentioned that OPSWAT would provide would inculcate information from endpoint detection systems.
Absolutely.
With what's going on at the network layer through the NDR.
Given the integration and the orchestration that we perform, we can provide the visibility down to the endpoint layer through that integration.
All right, so the threat landscape is changing, it's ever changing, and it's getting worse, and the environments are getting more complex. What's your best advice for network protectors, and who should be involved? I mean, who does the advice go to? Let's start with what it is, and then who should be on the team?
Yeah, so it's gotta come from the top down. Leadership has to be, involved and dedicated. Funding is required. Security is a critical component and has to be a foundation of an agency or a corporation. My advice, looking at various reporting over the last year, IBM released a report, 2025, the cost of a data breach. And they estimated that on average, a breach costs $4.44 million per incident. So if you were to be breached, as a leader or as an organization, someone running it, would you know? How would you know? Another statistic that's interesting from last year is Mandiant reported that 57% of breaches are identified by external sources such as law enforcement or cybersecurity vendors. 57%. That means, last year 57% of the agencies or organizations that were compromised didn't know until someone else brought it to their attention. So that's a huge problem, and it's getting worse. It's not getting better. So when it comes to NDR and having an NDR platform, it's a necessity to deploy and maintain, and it's your responsibility as a leader to ensure that it's deployed. Without an NDR platform, you lack the visibility and ultimately the capability to identify suspicious, malicious, or unauthorized activity occurring across or within your environment.
And what's the learning curve to become a good operator of OPSWAT or an NDR platform?
Yeah, so OPSWAT Academy provides a wealth of knowledge in terms of training across all of the OPSWAT products. And within the OPSWAT ecosystem, a lot of the products integrate together. So when you get trained on one, you're really learning about the entire OPSWAT ecosystem and how they function together, whether it's a network-based solution, or it's a cloud-based solution, or it's an endpoint solution. All of the OPSWAT, ecosystem products integrate together.
All right, so what's the best way to get started?
Yeah, the best way to get started with OPSWAT is to visit OPSWAT.com. There's a wealth of information there in terms of our product offerings, our capabilities, data sheets, documentation, solution briefs. It's all there for you to see.
All right, well, thanks for being with us. Some great advice today.
Thank you very much.
Our guest has been Michael Archimon, the Chief Strategy Officer at OPSWAT.